This is AFcast, the video game podcast. And here's your host, Malcolm Sheaver.
Video games have been around for years, and a lot of us like to go back every now and then and play some of our older games for the nostalgia. Some series are still going strong and have had recent titles like Final Fantasy and Call of Duty. Some multiplayer games are returned to for nostalgia factors or because it was designed well, like Titanfall 2 or Rainbow Six Siege. Other story games capture us so much that we like to return to them. One of these games for me is The Last of Us.
I'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
This week on AFcast, we will be talking about how games age over time and why that might be.
'Cause I'm blind to it all. In my mind, my gun, they comfort me.
If we want to figure out how games age over time, first we need to understand why we go back to those older games in the first place. The word typically used for this is nostalgia. Nostalgia for players usually has to do with a new game coming out that relates to a game or at least reminds them of a game they used to play. Sometimes all it takes is someone mentioning the game or some random thought that comes across your mind to make you want to play that game again. Video game companies use nostalgia as a marketing technique when creating their games. They make you feel like you are playing that game again, and it might even make you inclined to buy that next game that they just showed. And video games that hit on this sense of nostalgia tend to do better over an extended period of time. And this can be done with music, a relatable character,
to give the Covenant back their bomb,
a story, or graphics. So there are other games that are like Rainbow Six Siege that are, I call, progressive games. And progressive games is just essentially games that are continued to be worked on over time. Games like Rainbow Six Siege have been gaining popularity over the years and has changed tremendously since it first started. The game originally came out with 20 operators to choose from. 10 operators were on defense and 10 operators were on attack. I'm not going to go over everything that the game has because, this isn't about the game. So, but we also started out with 11 maps. And now there are just over 20 maps, and then we've even reworked a bunch of maps as well. And there's 52 total operators, 26 on each team. And Rainbow Six Siege was also one of the first games to involve power creep. And power creep is essentially when a character is released to do a certain task, and later on another operator is released that can do the same task, but better, essentially. And what made Rainbow Six Siege stay alive for so long is that every update makes the game completely new. All of a sudden, there are new counters, there are new team opportunities, new strategies, etc., 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 that you can do with those new operators or on that new map. Overall, Rainbow Six Siege has aged well. Sometimes the operators or maps in the game don't age quite as well. Bank and Chalet became worse and worse over time, but still kind of work. Other maps like Favela or Yacht aged very poorly. Consulate and Oregon are the only two original maps that are still really good maps and haven't really changed at all. And some operators have been nerfed or buffed over time because as a new update comes out, they can actually become more powerful even if the operator themselves don't get changed. A few other games that show this level of complexity while aging is World of Warcraft, League of Legends, and War Thunder. The last thing that I'm going to be talking about today is staying power. These games aren't necessarily progressive, but they keep people interested in the game with other means. And every once in a while they might get new objectives to do, but overall the core game remains the same. The staying power keeps people in the game without adding much content at all. And one of these games is Skyrim. People have stuck with Skyrim for years now. The only additional content that ever came out for this game in the past several years have been like mods for the game that people have got and made themselves. And same thing goes for Minecraft before Microsoft took over. There's a huge chunk of time where it was only version 1.7, and a bunch of mod packs and mods came out for the game at that time. It's still probably one of the best things to go to for the best mod packs and mods in the game, because a lot of mods have actually been introduced as updates now, which is pretty interesting. And another game would also be GTA 5. This game has been out for several years now, and it is still one of the most played games out on the market. Sure, they add some stuff, but for the most part, it's just like some heists and stuff like that. Like, it's not too terribly big things that like completely change the game. Like, it's just more stuff to buy essentially, or more stuff to just kind of do. But there's no big thing that's been really added. And there's nothing really to identify about these games that makes us want to play these. Everyone usually has their own reasons for wanting to continue to play these games. One of the most prevailing traits is how much there is to do, and like how much you can work towards, like creativity in the game, like even compatibility with playing with friends, which is probably mostly on the GTA side. And staying power is probably one of the most powerful things that you can have in a game, but I feel like there's no way to really actually measure it and to add it into your game on purpose. Maybe you might just kind of, end up putting it in there without really meaning to, or trying to work towards it and hoping that it works out that way. But I feel like there's no way to really try and actually do that in a game in order to keep people that interested. But it is definitely the most powerful thing that companies can have, especially since it would just keep making them money without them having to put much effort into the game itself. And yeah, I mean, like, because GTA is, GTA is the number one thing that has made video game that has made money. It's made over $6 billion just from people buying GTA or buying stuff in GTA. That's an insane amount of money for just one game. But yeah, so if you really want a game to be successful, add factors in it that make it so that way it will be remembered, and then make sure that it's got some staying power to it. Make sure that people are going to want to continue playing it after they've already, done all of the main stuff in the game. Like GTA Online, like there's not really much to actually, like there's no really main plot of that. It's kind of just buy as much stuff as you can, do what you want. You can do heists, but you don't necessarily have to, or you can just like run a CEO business or something like that. And then there's like Minecraft, which is like you can just either try to survive in a survival world or build in this huge creative landscape. And then you've also got your progressive games as well that have been slowly working their way up over these past several years, especially with the help of esports. But that is all that I have time for you guys today, so game on.
Find AFcast on Instagram and Twitter, @AFCommunity, for any updates on future podcast episodes. If you want to join the community Discord, find the link in the description or on the website, afcommunity.com. Special thanks to DJ Augie for making the music for this podcast.